day 2 of Toy Fair, and we got a lot of stuff ahead of us here. And there's going to be a lot of segments, just like how I just gave you guys on Friday going into Saturday, a whole bunch of segments in one shot. Me and Jaws D are going to be doing the exact same thing right here for Saturday and Sunday, and we're also going to be covering Wonderfest too, because it kind of overlaps with that also for this lovely weekend of merch. I was always saying online that our wallet today is like a dog during a thunderstorm. It's hiding in fear right now.
Exactly.
So let's do this. Now, there was a lot of stuff mentioned about Cyberverse, but the one thing that was different news-wise compared to what we talked about on Friday, the only real new thing that is really mentioned or revealed was there's one extra character that we didn't know about that is going to be present in this series, and as a toy too, hopefully, and that is the character of Shadow Striker. Now, they present this as a new character. It's like this is a new Decepticon character called Shadow Striker and everything. But the thing is that the character of Shadow Striker, oddly enough, has been around for a very, very long time in Transformers lore, as far back as 2003. So, I
Okay.
mean, a very long time. But the funny thing with Shadow Striker was she was originally a Botcon exclusive, and she was a Botcon exclusive named as a Botcon exclusive during a time when Botcon wasn't an official, Hasbro blessed Transformer convention. This was like
Interesting.
this was the early non-fun publication days when Glenn Hallett and them were kind of in charge of it. So Glenn Hallett was the one that actually named the character Shadow Striker, and originally he wanted to call the character Silhouette, but they couldn't get the trademark for it.
Hmm.
So in the end, it became Shadow Striker. And what Shadow Striker was, she was actually special in a lot of ways too, because she was the first time ever there was a Botcon exclusive that had a remolded head. That was a big deal back then. So
Uh,
what did she use? She was a female Decepticon repaint of Robots in Disguise, the old 2000s Robots in Disguise Sideburn or Speedbreaker.
okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Cool.
So she was a black repaint of that, and essentially, she had the feminine face with the lipstick and everything, and that character was packaged in a 2-pack with her sister, who was an Autobot named Roulette, and that's why it was supposed to be Roulette and Silhouette.
Hmm.
That was the joke that they were going to do, and in the end, because they couldn't, so it's now Shadow. But even though she was a Decepticon, she was depicted as essentially kind of like an in between. She wasn't really that much of an evil character, although
Okay.
in the fiction, supposedly she died by the time the Universe toy line came out and stuff and everything like that. The name would kind of fall into obscurity for about a good solid 7 years after that point, but it would still stay in Hasbro's like trademark pool that if they ever wanted to use it, they'd re-register it and use it again. And that was the case when Revenge of the Fallen came around. They were doing a whole bunch of like Target exclusives and all kinds of 2-packs and stuff because all the retailers, they all wanted to have Transformer toys because the 2007 movie and Revenge of the Fallen, the toys were selling like hotcakes. So Target wanted to have essentially a whole bunch of exclusives. So they did all these little legend scale 2-packs, and they did a movie Bumblebee using one of the many movie Bumblebee legends 2-pack, fighting against a repaint of the Classics Legends Wheelie. So picture Legends Wheelie,
Hmm.
the Classics version, but in Legend scale, but done in black and pink, like pretty much completely black with pink windows, typical like Nemesis kind of repaint.
Yeah.
And that was Shadow Striker. And again, also was depicted as a female character, even though it was a wheelie mold. Um, so that character again even had a movie interpretation, if you will, and obviously didn't really have any fiction. Just only appeared in this Target exclusive 2-pack. I believe this, if you lived in Canada, this also was available in Zellers because I believe that's how I got mine. Because I don't ever remember picking it up from Target because we didn't have Target at the time. So this was also a Zellers exclusive Shadow Striker. So just based off of those two previous incarnations of that character, um, it was always like a primarily black kind of repaint character, obviously because of the name too, with Shadow Striker. So it's interesting that now we're going to be having this character return again, 2003, then in 2010, and now, 8 years later for Cyberverse, we're going to get this character. Hopefully,
being an official character now.
well, it was technically an official character, Revenge of the Fallen. That was.
I mean, like with actual fiction behind them.
Oh yeah,
actual.
Yeah, that is correct.
Some kind of representation.
Because the Shadow Striker
medium.
from Botcon, while it did appear in the Botcon universe comics, it still was in that hazy gray area that the Botcon still had. It had kind of Hasbro's blessing, but it still wasn't an official convention. They just kind of had exclusives added, kind of in a lot of ways how SDCC has Hasbro exclusives added, but it's kind of it's a gray area there. So this is the first time, that Shadow Striker is going to be making her fictional debut under a 100% Hasbro thumbs up. This is our creation. This is our character of Shadow Striker. And again, from 2010 to now, 8 year span, so she has returned. So that's just something I just wanted to cover on, because all the other Cyberverse news that pretty much came out of the Hasbro panel and the Transformer panel on the Saturday, all the other stuff, more or less we knew on Friday. I mean, they showed test animations that unfortunately a lot of people were not able to see, and because photos weren't allowed and everything, we weren't able to see that. They showed Bumblebee's transformation in the show, and the only other stuff they kind of really talked about was how it's a fresh take on G1. So what we discussed about yesterday, more or less, about it being like, G1 for the next generation in a lot of ways. We were right. So yeah, hey, Shadow Striker. So we'll definitely keep you guys posted on that when we have more images and stuff of her, for sure.